First, let me say how this all came about really quickly. There is a YouTube channel called Screen Junkies. They have a show you can listen to on iTunes or you can watch it on YouTube called Movie Fights. And this week's now there's 6 rounds in a movie fight, and but they usually the one that they're advertising is usually their first question or the one that's their main one. This week's main question was based on all their questions are usually based on whatever the relevant news is or trailers that have broke, whatever movies that are debuting. So this week, news came out that Warner Brothers actually wants a recut of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice with more Ben Affleck in it, more Batman. They have decided that Batman is the Jesus Christ of the DC universe. My words, their words, crown jewel. That between Batman being in the Lego movie, and now they're doing a Lego Batman. And the fact that Ben Affleck apparently did an outstanding job in the cut that's currently being viewed by Warner Brothers executives and others, they want more Batman. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but there's also now going to be a slate of Batman movies coming out with Ben Affleck. And so here's my thought on this. I don't want to go... Well, the question on Movie Fights was who should play Robin. And that's what got me thinking about this, because my thought of who should play Robin, you first have to ask yourself, well, which Robin? Tim Drake, Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, the broad from Dark Knight Returns, whose name I can't remember, but she's a chick. Hence the word broad.
Broad.
And then, of course, my personal favorite and the sort of the impetus of my BatFleck trilogy, Damian Wayne. Now, to answer the question who should play him, Asa Butterfield. That's who there's only one answer for me. That is the actor right there. You need somebody who looks like a 10-year-old. I think Asa Butterfield's actually 18, but can hold his own against Ben Affleck. And so when you're thinking about what I'm about to pitch to you, your main stars of this thing are Ben Affleck and Asa Butterfield as Damian Wayne. So here are my 3 films, okay? And they're unfortunately...
Hold on a second. Let me interrupt you. Asa Butterfield, I don't know who this is. I mean, it looks like freaking Frankie Muniz from Malcolm in the Middle. But what other movies has this kid been in?
He was in Hugo in 2011, Ender's Game in 2013. 2014, he was in X and Y. This year, he plays Jude in 10,000 Saints. And he's currently in the middle of filming Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. The thing that I think he's most known for is Ender's Game. Yeah. So he's been nominated for a bunch of different awards. And he's a hell of an actor. But I mostly picked him because of his look. Like, if you know what Damian Wayne looks like, he captures that look perfectly, and he can actually, act. Which is important.
He has that boyish look to him. I mean, for sure. He definitely looks. I mean, like you said, he's 18, but man, I mean, he looks like he's freaking 13 or something.
I also wanted somebody that Marvel hasn't grabbed yet. Now they've already got Tom Holland; they can keep him. And I didn't want to pull anybody from another franchise. Like somebody had suggested Ellen Page and Nicholas Hoult. They're both in the X-Men franchise already. Let them fucking stay there. I want something new here. And that's going to be a big part of my pitches, because a lot of the characters I kind of pulled from obscurity, because I don't want to keep seeing, if someone does another movie with the goddamn Joker, I'm going to kill myself. I swear to God. So I was like, let's work with some other characters here. Okay, so the name of, now, for those of you who actually read comic books and you're listening to this podcast, why wouldn't you? I'm drawing from 3 places as sort of my tent poles, but I put my own spin on them. Those 3 tent poles are Batman Incorporated, Son of Batman, and the Court of Owls storyline. Okay? But here's how I did it. The first movie is Batman Incorporated. And we open our movie. Jesse, if I get too long, just kind of cut me off and say, or wrap it up or something. But
you go for it, man.
Okay, so we open our movie, and this is like the whole first act of this thing. is the establishment of Batman Incorporated. There's a lot. Unfortunately, you have to make up a lot of time. A lot's happened in the world of Batman. The timeline takes place after what I guess are the events of Batman versus Superman. So we have an older Batman, we have a seasoned Batman, we have one who's already lost one Robin. I'm going to assume it's Jason Todd. And in this world, Jason Todd has already been resurrected and become the Red Hood, and he's a part of Batman Incorporated. That all comes out in the narration. Dick Grayson is Nightwing, was once upon a time Robin, became Nightwing, or, we get that in narration. We're also introduced to Batgirl, Batwoman, okay, Kate Kane, I think her name is. Batgirl, it was Barbara Gordon. And if you look at the list of who's in Batman Incorporated, there's people all over the world. We're gonna put them all in this thing, at least as a shot, and say, one of the things Batman sort of figured out, as especially after the events, is he can't do it alone anymore. So not only is he just gonna have a sidekick, but he wants this whole operation, under his leadership to take down the world's biggest global criminal empire, which is led by the Penguin. And I'm not talking fucking, monster penguin, just a short, fat guy who because he's fat, he walks like a penguin, okay? But this is like the penguin that you would get from the Arkham Asylum games. You know what I'm talking about? He's the world's worst, biggest mafia boss. Well, so the whole first act of this movie is this sort of, here's the history of what's happened here, and we meet up there. They're at the cusp of taking down Penguin's global criminal empire, which they are successful with. And so you see all these shots of, gun warehouses being shut down, and human trafficking being shut down, and drugs being shut down, and just, and all these different groups of people that are working with Batman going, okay, operation successful. And this is Commissioner Gordon's sort of last act as commissioner. He's worked with Batman for all these years. He's worked with Batman Incorporated to take down the Penguin. He's handing over the reins to Michael Akins, who's not happy about what's just happened. He doesn't like the idea of vigilantes taking credit for things. He doesn't like the idea of Batman. But he's been working under Gordon for all these years, so he sort of had to just swallow it. But he secretly hates Batman and all his ilk. So that's the whole first act. Then we have an introduction to Damian Wayne and Talia al Ghul, the League of Shadows, and Talia al Ghul. They do an attack, and this is where, this is right out of the comic book. She ends up sending Damian Wayne to go live with his father, Bruce, and Bruce finds out that he's the kid's father for the first time. But she's doing it, as she did in the comic books, to mess with Batman Incorporated and create havoc. So the Robin at this present time is Tim Drake, okay? He's currently got the mantle of Robin. With the introduction of Damian Wayne, Damian and Tim are constantly at odds with each other, and they end up getting into this huge fight, and Bruce has to break them up, and that's when Bruce is like, Damian, you can't do this. You can't, be this disruptive. The movie leads up to Batman, Damian, and Tim taking down Talia al Ghul in the League of Shadows. But at the culmination of all that, Tim realizes that, that essentially Bruce has chosen Damian over him, and he's hurt by it. So he goes off and he becomes Red Robin, leaving Damian to become the new Robin. And that's where our first movie ends. Not a lot of detail there, but that's sort of the bones of my first movie. Now, here's where things get fun. Okay. So the second movie, you with me so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ronnie, any questions? Any issues?
I'm waiting. No, I was curious. I thought Nightwing was going to be showing up, but I'm
part of Batman Incorporated. But I wanted to focus on, and you'll see why. I wanted to focus on the introduction of Damian and how that affects Tim.
Gotcha.
I did have one question. You said you wanted Butterfield to play Damian Wayne. Did you have anybody in mind for Red Robin?
Not a single person. Hadn't thought that far in advance.
Okay.
Just in pre-production here, Ronnie. Come on, man.
My bad.
So, as producer of this thing, I've only got Ben Affleck and Asa Butterfield in mind. Okay, so that's Batman Incorporated. Our second movie is Batman and Son. Film starts with Batman, who is captured inside Arkham Asylum by Duella, the Joker's daughter. Please don't boo me. I wanted somebody that would fit this minor role really well without having to do a repeat. So I thought it would be fun to have this character in it. So Duella, the Joker's daughter, is, captured Batman inside Arkham Asylum. Batman sends out the signal for Nightwing to come get him out of there. So Batman sort of let her, in a way, capture him to kind of get through this whole thing. But Nightwing doesn't show up. Instead, Damian shows up. And the two of them fight their way out of Arkham. They take down Duella and all of her henchmen, the nuts inside Arkham Asylum, the random nuts. And at the end of it, Batman's like, "Why did I told you not to come. I specifically said Dick was going to come get me, not you. You needed to stay home. You're still not ready for this." And of course, Damian gets pissed off. So like I said, they take down Duella. They restore order in Arkham. We move on to the next beat. The Court of Owls begins taking out high society people and politicians. Batman begins to investigate the Court of Owls. Meanwhile, Damian, who has been at this point forbidden from going out on any more missions, he's the training stopped, everything stopped until he can get some control of himself. Because one of the things you'll see in the first beat with this thing with Duella is he's still pretty violent, still pretty raw. However, there's been a rash of disappearance of children, and this is right out of the movie. This is right out of the Batman vs. Robin movie. But there's been a rash of disappearance of children. Red Robin has already been working on this case. Him and Damian end up deciding to work on it together, and they kind of form a truce. The actual reason Drake is working with him is to keep an eye on Damian because he doesn't trust him, because he's violent and unpredictable, and he knows that this is going to go south. So he figures this is an opportunity for me to do a solid for Batman and keep an eye on Damian. Third beat, and there's 5. So Batman and Nightwing go off and pursue the Court of Owls, while Drake and Damian pursue the Dollmaker. They eventually catch up with him, and Drake stops Damian from killing the Dollmaker, and the two of them end up fighting again. And this time, Damian goes too far and kills Tim Drake.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, he just Drake just pushes him way too far, and Damian loses control and fucking just murders him outright.
Is it okay? Now, I am admittedly weak on DC, and when it comes to reading stuff and the whole Damian Wayne thing, I knew who he was. So this is part of his MO usually in the comics, is that he's really over.
Well, he was raised by the League of Assassins. I referred to it as the League of Shadows because that's what I remembered from the Nolan movie. But he was raised by assassins. Ra's al Ghul was his grandfather.
Gotcha.
All right, so Batman and Nightwing go after the Court of Owls. Talon takes down Batman, and Nightwing escapes. Nightwing meets up with Damian. Damian hides the fact that he's murdered Drake. He gets rid of the evidence, just doesn't mention it, and Nightwing doesn't think to ask about it. They go off to save Batman from the Court of Owls. They do, but Damian deliberately disobeys Batman and murders Talon in front of him. At which point he, realizes what he's done and goes on the run. And Batman and Nightwing lose track of him. Once this is all cleared up, Batman finds out that Tim is dead. And at that point, he vows that if it's the last thing he do, Damian's going down. At which point, Damian actually contacts Batman and lures him to an abandoned warehouse. He reveals he's taking control of the Court of Owls and challenges Batman to a fight to the death. He's saying, you've held me back all this time. I'm Ra's al Ghul's grandkid. God damn it. I'm better than you, and I'm going to prove it. and Batman beats the shit out of him. However, he refuses to kill Damian. He attempts to take him into custody, but the Talons rescue Damian and they disappear. Batman vows this isn't over, and that's where the movie ends. Any questions about that? Any issues?
I have none. I mean, I tell you what, that's got to be some heartbreaking stuff for Batman to have to deal with the fact that he is, fighting his own son.
Yep, that's kind of the theme of this thing.
That's
about,
the big
Batman and his children.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm good, man. What's up next?
Okay, Ronnie, anything?
No. I'm. This is pretty awesome.
Okay. Our third and final movie, Batman versus Robin. The movie begins with anarchy, and this version is Ulysses Hadrian Armstrong blowing a hole through Arkham Asylum. Meanwhile, Emperor Blackgate, again, I was really reaching into like who haven't I used yet? Causes a breakout at Blackgate prison. Sure, I could have used Bane for this, but we've already seen and done that. So yeah, I've got anarchy blowing a hole through Arkham Asylum, and I've got Emperor Blackgate causing a breakout at Blackgate prison. So ostensibly, all of Batman's enemies are running amok throughout Gotham. Batman Incorporated, which at this point consists of Batman, Nightwing, Batwoman, Batgirl, Red Hood, Huntress, and Catwoman, and they're joined by Green Arrow, Black Canary, and a reformed Harley Quinn. I was really trying to stay away from other established characters. That's why I didn't want to use anyone that was going to be in Suicide Squad, but I really wanted to jam Harley Quinn somewhere into this, and I figured, at this, in the comic books, she kind of had a thing for Green Arrow, and I figured if I wait long enough in the series, I can kind of, I can throw her in there. And in her own comic book, she was kind of an anti-hero, and she was teamed up with Power Girl for a while. So that kind of informed my thinking on it. But so there we have Batman Incorporated joined by his allies from outside of town, Green Arrow, Black Canary, and Harley Quinn. The other reason why I wanted to throw in extra characters was a lot of people breaking out at one time. Batman needs more than just 3 or 4 people to help him out. So that whole group raced throughout Gotham, taking down various criminals and supervillains. It's a long opening sequence, but in the end, the heroes prevail. Beat 2. Due to these events, Commissioner Michael Akins has enough political and social leverage to wage a campaign against Batman Incorporated. The citizens of Gotham start turning on the vigilantes, and there's a swelling belief that order should be the sole domain of police, not costumed heroes. Meanwhile, Batman's still on the hunt for his son Damian. Beat 3. Criminals throughout Gotham and in both Arkham and Blackgate begin dying in mysterious and violent ways. Akins chooses to turn a blind eye and threatens Batman Incorporated not to investigate, or they themselves will be arrested. So Batman Inc. backs off, but that allows organized street crime to return to the streets of Gotham. We find out that Akins is in league with the Penguin. Penguin rebuilds his criminal empire, with Akins taking a cut of the profits. All right?
Okay.
3 more BatFleck. Around this time, members of Batman Inc. start getting taken down. Some are just maimed, while others are killed. While examining clues in the Batcave, Batman receives several alerts telling him that various members of Batman Inc. have been captured throughout Gotham. If Batman wants to save them, he must meet his new foe in the alley, where Bruce Wayne's parents were killed. Batman goes to the alley, but nobody is there at first. Suddenly, camera lights flood the alley, and a voice can be heard but not seen. It's Damian Al Ghul. He tells Batman that the League of Shadows has returned to dismantle Batman Inc. forever. Damian also goes into a long speech, and this is it. This is what I've been building to right here. Damian goes into a long speech about how before Batman, all Gotham had was organized crime, like any other city in the world. But then he came along, Batman, and with him, the birth of crazy freaks like the Joker, the Riddler, Bane, Two-Face, and more. They hurt more people in Gotham than the mobsters ever did, and it's all Batman's fault. Batman Inc. was nothing more than Bruce Wayne's mob, and Commissioner Gordon let him get away with it. So with that said, if Batman doesn't reveal his identity to the world right now, they will execute what's left of Batman Inc. Batman capes. He reveals himself to the world as Bruce Wayne. which point Michael Akins comes out of the shadows and arrests Bruce Wayne for, among other things, he's being framed for the murder of Tim Drake. We see a montage of Gotham police arresting the remaining members of Batman Inc. and bringing them to Gotham City Jail. They're all tried in what's ostensibly a kangaroo court and sentenced to life in Blackgate Prison. The audience reveal at this point is that Damian's League of Shadows is also working for the Penguin. So, the next bit of the movie is in Blackgate Prison. And Bruce is just broke.
Yeah, Batman's in jail, and is crime is running rampant, right?
Yep. The League of Shadows is essentially the muscle for Penguin, and the cops are looking the other way.
Okay.
So we're right back to where we started again when Batman pretty much, came to be.
First started.
Right. So Bruce is just broke at this point. His mind is, not crazy, but he's just sort of given up. Because of his history, he's placed in solitary confinement where he just stays on his bunk and sleeps all day. Meanwhile, Dick Grayson is trying to survive in general population. Jim Gordon becomes aware of the collusion between Damian Akins and the Penguin. He vows to free Batman and the rest of Batman Inc. and restore order in Gotham. Unfortunately, Bruce is wrought with guilt over Drake and has bought into Damian's accusations. So he believes it. He knows, he feels like deep down he caused all of this, and he just doesn't want to go on. So Gordon comes to talk with him, and he convinces him that he can't be held responsible for creations like the Joker and Two-Face. If nothing else, he has to get himself together and end this battle with Damian and the Penguin once and for all. Gordon helps Bruce, Dick, and Jason escape from Blackgate, and they in turn break out what's left of Batman Incorporated out of prison, so they get the gals out. They all suit up, and they vow that no matter what happens, they're going to fight to the end. Bruce tells Dick privately that when it's all over, he's done being Batman. This is the last hurrah. So Batman Inc. split into two factions. One goes to take down the Penguin, the other goes to take down Damian and the League. Meanwhile, Gordon and the loyalist Gotham PD go after Akins. There's kind of like a split in Gotham. There's those that are loyal to Akins and those that are loyal to Gordon. Mm-hmm. We have a three-way finale culminating in the final confrontation between Damian and Bruce. Bruce stops himself from killing Damian, but when he turns his back, he hears a single gunshot. Kate Kane, the Batwoman, has murdered Damian Wayne. Ooh. The Penguin and Akins are defeated by Batman Incorporated. Gordon is asked to at least temporarily be acting commissioner until a permanent replacement can be found. Jason and Barbara Gordon leave Gotham and their personas behind. Bruce leaves Wayne Enterprises to Dick Grayson. He also tells him that it is his choice whether to resume being Batman or... Oh, hang on. Let me go back a step. Batwoman turns herself in. Kate Kane says, I killed Damian Wayne, put the cuffs on. And, she sort of offers herself as a martyr. Which, if you know anything about the character, this has been an ongoing thing between her and Batman, the use of guns. So I thought that would be an interesting little thing to throw in there.
Okay.
Yeah, Jason and Barbara just leave Gotham, and they quit being superheroes. Bruce leaves Wayne Enterprises to Dick Grayson. He also tells him that it's his choice whether to resume being Batman or not. He leaves his legacy to him. Bruce and Selina Kyle leave Gotham together, and the movie ends with Dick Grayson saying he is the last remaining son of Bruce Wayne. He is the Batman.
Ooh. That's good stuff. Well, okay. Let me tell you what I like. Oh, first off, are you done?
Yeah, that was it.
That was it. Okay. I didn't want to start going into what I thought. I'll give you my my favorite part about the whole thing is that I love the fact that you're bringing in like the Bat family, because any Batman film really they tried to do it with Batman and Robin, where they had I don't know what Alicia Silverstone played, if she played Batgirl or Batwoman, but was it okay? Bringing in the more characters that you bring in, the happier I tend to be, because if there's anything that I appreciate the most when I'm watching a comic book movie or a comic book based TV series, it's those winks and nods and, okay, hey, this person's actually part of the universe there, like Jay Garrick of The Flash or just those tiny little winks and nods. But I would always like to see, okay, well, yeah, that character's there. I want to see them play a part in the movie. So bringing that, I mean, that is the Bat family right there. That is everybody you mentioned, you know, I recognize as being an essential part of the Batman mythos. So seeing them in a trilogy like that would be awesome. I definitely would. I'd be on board. Good. I mean, definitely got some good, some good plot points there, I guess is the best word to put it. I enjoy the plot. I would definitely like to see something like that. What about you, Ronnie? What do you got to say, man?
I thought the concept of the whole thing is really good. Making Damian Wayne the villain is kind of mind blowing, and him embracing his grandfather's side, I guess you could say, and then and making painfully important. As I've always liked the Penguin, but I've always been a sucker for the normal Penguin, like in the games, or I didn't like the Danny DeVito Penguin, in other words.
Nobody does.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
My only, the thing about it, unfortunately, you've either got to go. You got to get strong with your casting in that ensemble, though. And but coming from the movie standpoint of it,
it would be tough to find It'd be tough to find, like, okay, you don't want somebody not overacting, but you don't want somebody like, okay, that would be a bit part that has a lot of star power. I think just like Mark had picked. Frankie Nunez lookalike guy there, Asia Butterbean, whatever his name is. That is somebody I have no idea about, and if I saw them and they were a great actor in a high profile film such as that, I mean, that would put somebody on the map. But just like you said, it'd be a delicate balance of finding the great cast members that work well off of each other. I figure that would be a bit of a challenge, but so and so played Robin, so and so played Red Robin. It'd be interesting to see how they do that. Mark, were you about to say something?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, just I was definitely informed by, as Ronnie mentioned it. I wanted to see the Penguin rehabilitated in the movies, because all anyone knows about him is there's only been 2 versions on screen. That's not animated, and that was Burgess Meredith, who plays a funny version of the Penguin, but it was still a lot of those wah 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 kind of tropes.
Yeah.
I've been watching at work the first season of the '60s Batman show, and like he must call his henchmen my fine feathered friends, or some sort of alliteration involving birds at least 20 times an episode. And these things are not that long. It's like, and the games have always gotten it right. Well, so what I want to see, I want to see somebody really capture that evil mob boss mentality and just be an ugly fat guy.
Right.
Just be a reprehensible bastard, and stop worrying about. And the only reason why anyone calls you Penguin is because you're a fat ass.
Have you ever read the graphic novel Joker?
I've read, and this might have come out while you were hearing my beats. This was also inspired by Batman: Death of the Family, which is the Joker. The Joker systematically taking down various members of Batman's family, because he's like, no, this is about me and you, and I didn't want to do that story. But I like the idea of Batman Batman being surrounded by people, and having that almost be his undoing.
Right.
That's why there's that beat in there of like, you all these people around you, you've now put in abject danger by this murderer.
I wasn't a huge fan of Death of the Family, but the concept was interesting. Absolutely. You know, and I'm not a fan of the New 52 period, but what I've read of it. But the concept of Joker, that it's of course outside canon and everything, is that it's a realistic look at all these Batman villains, kind of like Nolanized a little bit. The Joker is a speed freak with scars instead of the smile and face paint and everything. Killer Croc is just this really big dude with a skin condition who's also he's a cannibal. And then the Penguin is just this fat, short dude that is a mob boss, you know. And even he was played off as kind of a coward in that book. But it was still interesting to see that he's the informer. I mean, he's got the information. He's got his sticky little fingers and everything, and it was really cool to see that. And I'm being a fan of the Penguin, you know, thinking that he's never been really used right, in my opinion, in a lot of things other than the video games. It's really cool to hear somebody, you know, have that same concept, that, you know, to pull him out into the spotlight, to make him reprehensible, to make him a villain, you know, an actual, you know, somebody to be, you know, to be reckoned with, as far as a mob boss goes.
And that's what I was going for. I mean, I don't think it has to be like, you know, super serial, Chris Nolan-y, you know, everything has to have like a realistic explanation. But I did want there to be stakes in this thing, and I wanted it to come full circle. As I was coming up with the beats, I was like, wow, this is starting to sound like the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker, only not shitty. If I can pat myself on my back, but. You know, because it's a similar thing. You know, Damian Wayne, as I portrayed him, is a very similar character to Anakin Skywalker. You're starting off broken as it is, and, you know, you're trying to be the hero, and you realize that that's not who you are. You are, in fact, a piece of shit, and you embrace it. And, you know, and that's what's driving this version of Damian, is that the belief, and this is actually true to the character in the comic books, he believed he was better than his dad. And he kept aiming to prove it. But I want to thank you guys for letting me pitch this. This is what I did today while I was taking my son to the mall.
Yeah.
It started off with, who I put as Robin? And then that was it, man. My family lost me for the rest of the day. I was like, I'm coming up with plot synopsises for 3 Batman movies that'll never get made.
Well, I'm glad to use our show as a vehicle for that. Like I mentioned in the Facebook post, we know that there are unpaid interns, as it is always referenced by Winfrey and Comer and you guys on the other shows there. They listen to the Rattletion Broadcasting Network, so hopefully they'll take a couple beats from us, and for sure use some of those ideas. Mark, what do you?
I have a quick question hang on, I got a quick question for Ronnie.
Yeah.
When you saw in the second movie that I was, and this is the last thing I'm going to talk about, that I was using Duella, the Joker's daughter, as sort of a throwaway villain at the beginning of it, did you want to punch me in the face?
A little. Yeah.
I had no idea that there was such a person. I seriously had no idea. Is this a staple character that's been around for a while, or?
No, I don't know. It's my understanding of this character is that she's a nut job who decided out of the blue that she was the Joker's daughter, and she did stuff to herself and just started making that claim. I don't think she's very popular. I just thought, I was reading about her, and I was like, that'd be fun, and at least then I don't have to fucking use the Joker.
That's true.
Well, a dent. I'm looking her up right now just to see what she looks like, and that's pretty scary looking. I don't know how long she's been around.
At first, I had Harley in that role. I had Harley Quinn, but I don't want to didn't want to use Harley because they have her in Suicide Squad. I don't know what Warner Brothers' intention for her is, and it was like, I need to kind of stay out of the way. You know, if I'm sitting here, if tomorrow I get a phone call from Warner Brothers going, we heard you on this podcast, we like what you got there, you know, come out to Hollywood and let's sit and let's talk about your notes. I don't want to not that this is ever going to happen, but I don't want to then be like, the characters you're using are already in use of, you know, these other ways, so fucking change it. You know,
you've got to fall back. I mean, I guarantee you, if that was something that was to happen, let's say that, everything did happen where they were going to produce this, you would have a very large fanboy cry out, Harley in there somewhere. I think she has one of the biggest followings right now. When I was at that con yesterday, I remember leaving for the con, and I looked at Dave and I said, we're going top 3 cosplays. I said number 1 is going to be Harley. I said we're going to see so many Harley Quinns there. It's going to be unbelievable. And the second was fucking Deadpool, dude. Seriously, that's what I said. Second was Deadpool. But you want to know, in all honesty, the most because when I got there, I thought I was going to see an abundance of all that. I saw 1 or 2 Deadpool. And now I don't know what Saturday was. Sunday was there was about 1 or 2 Deadpool there, and I saw maybe 2 or 3 Harley Quinn. But I kid you not, I saw so many Doctor Who cosplay there. It was off the charts. Of course, you got 11 different characters to pick from that represent Doctor Who.
Okay. How many hot chicks dressed up as the TARDIS?
There was seriously. My sister actually has a TARDIS dress. I saw that dress 3 times. And and so there was quite a few there that had a lot of Doctor Who references. I got one picture with one dude who looked just like David Tennant, I swear. I passed by him. I don't care if the kids were a mile ahead of me. I was trying to keep up with them, but I had to stop this guy and be like, hey, let me get a picture. But it really didn't, the con itself really didn't seem like there was a ton of cosplay there. But regardless, Doctor Who was the winner in my eyes. But Harley, yeah. As for the movie, I think Harley's going to be. She would be pushed. People fanboy cry out is what you would meet with. Ronnie, do you see anything other than that right there with Mark's proposal there? Do you see anything else that like would really upset like a hardcore DC fan or the casual DC fan? Anything where you think somebody'd be like, oh my gosh, that's just a bunch of BS?
The lack of mainline villains.
Oh, really? Like you want to see who would you want to see in there?
No, I don't. I think it's good the way it is. You know, even with Joella in it. Even though I shudder to think about it. But I think your casual DC fans and the movie fans will be like, well, where's the Joker? Well, where's Bane? Well,
we've already had the Joker. I know this is separate from Nolan and all that stuff, obviously, right, Mark? This isn't some kind of a continuation in the Nolan verse in any way. This is totally separate. I wrote all this in with the Man of Steel and Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad in mind. Okay. Because one thing that drives me crazy, one of the things I talk about on Long Road to Ruin all the time is that they bring these people in to write these movies, and I feel like they brought them in from planet Neptune, and they've never seen anything else. They don't pay any attention to anything. And it's like they're like, I've come up with my own idea. Like, well, okay, but there's a continuity here that's taking place. And one of the things they've pointed out is that Ben Affleck's version of Batman has been a Batman that's been around for years. The premise of Suicide Squad is all the people in the movie he put in Arkham Asylum or somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm not going backwards. First of all, if we do one more origin, if I have to see Bruce Wayne's parents shot one more time, I'm gonna start throwing shoes at people. I hate it. Like
We have now seen Batman and Spider-Man's origins so many times. I'm sick of it. So one of the things I like about what Warner Brothers is doing is they're saying, let's take a character and let's put him so far in the future that that all these things have happened to him, and I'm like, okay, that's something I can work with. That's why I started with this idea of Batman Incorporated, which I know everyone hated in the comic books, but stay with me. I was like, let's. If Batman's already had this whole career where he was the Dark Knight and he went solo, and along the way Jason died and came back to life, that's a lot of stuff to take with you. That might bring you to the conclusion that maybe I need to stop doing this by myself, especially in a world surrounded by guys like Superman, Wonder Woman, the Flash, Green Lantern. Maybe Batman looked at himself in the mirror at 40 some odd years old and said, "I'm just a dude in tights." Granted, I was trained by the League of Shadows or the League of Assassins or whatever, but still, at the end of the day, I'm not Superman. And yeah, this is after he's going to go head to head with the guy. But I mean, if you're in his shoes, maybe you start to think, the world would be a better place if I got some like-minded people like myself, just in case Superman ever goes fucking nuts. And that to me is the genesis of something like Batman Incorporated. This extended family, and that to me was sort of the basis for these movies, because that's also like Batman at sort of his most happiest. We see Batman. We see Batman in my estimation as this is the height. This is Batman at his best, surrounded by love in a world where he's taken down his biggest enemies, and then it all starts to fall apart. And not because of Superman, and not because of, apocalypse or anything else like that, but by the thing that that affects us all, family. Who doesn't have or a brother, or it's funny, we were talking at work, and for those that don't know, I work in a jail. Both corporals that I work with were telling me that they have a sibling who is a drug addict. Ugh. Now, these are people who've risen to high rank within our local sheriff's office, but they have to deal with, these black sheep in their own immediate family. We're not even talking like a distant cousin here. We're talking their own brothers and sisters. Yeah. And how that can affect you. So that certainly played into what I wanted to do with these three make-believe movies.
Family dynamic is, definitely an important part to Batman's character, considering the fact that, he was basically orphaned at such a young age and grew up the way he did, and so I think it'd be definitely heart-wrenching to see him have to to fight his own son. It would be if they played upon that, if that was something that was played upon so well, where I had the emotion that those emotions drawn up, like, man, if I had to face Caleb or something like that. I have a feeling I'll be facing Caleb probably in a couple of years anyway, but but still, at some point you've got to do that with your own son, and that's like to the nth level too with Batman and Damian. So crazy stuff. But very good, Mark, man. Thanks for coming on here and like giving us the lowdown and giving us the opportunity to take that or give that to the world there. That's
I appreciate your kind words and not telling me that everything I write sucks.
No, we'll wait till you get off the podcast to do that, and then we'll run you down.
Good luck with the next year.
Appreciate that, dude. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, later.
Later, man.
Bye-bye.